So we know that your background is in middle school teaching and education tech consultation. Tell us a little bit about your transition. What sparked your journey and what skills did you have as a teacher that you found helpful as an instructional designer?
So I did a lot of writing individual education plans. I did a lot of testing. I did a lot of analysis of data. I had to look at a ton of resources to figure out what exactly is going to be the best learning path for each of those individual learners to set their individual goals, right? So if you're an educator, you've probably written a lot of goals using possibly Bloom's taxonomy, making sure that you have not only what the skill is, but even a behavior, and then you are going to put in there a time frame or a percentage when you want this goal met. And so that right there was one of the big transferable skills that I already had, getting those learning objectives. Now, back then I was writing it for children, so that's pedagogy. Now I'm writing learning goals for adults, so it's better to say andragogy, right? Not goji. Some people say it differently, but that's one of the transferable skills I had. Now, I left the classroom, in 2013, but to work for an ed tech program, a couple different programs. I was a consultant for them, but I was also I was doing the analysis. What do the students at your school need, or in your district, where are their shortcomings? So I was looking at state data, I was looking at school data, and I was looking at individual classroom and student data as well, as far as state testing and then even benchmark testing. So I had access to all of that. So again, there's that analysis. I was going into district offices. I was going in to meet with principals and coaches, instructional coaches, and having those critical conversations, asking those questions, finding out what the gaps are, what they think the gaps are, looking at the data to see if what the gaps they're actually think that they are really those educational gaps for the students, and talking with the teachers. Because a lot of times we find that the stakeholder, the admin, there's sometimes a disconnect, right? And so understanding that the teacher or the learner or the manager that's right there working with our learners has a different outlook on what's actually happening on the job or in the classroom. So that was another transferable skill. I got to do that for almost 9 years, right up until I started looking into instructional design. So that was a transferable skill. So that was the analysis piece. Once we figured out where their gaps were and what needed to happen, I would look at the program and see what parts of the program, or which program, because I had several, were the right fix or the right element to start implementing with those students. And so then I had to do the training for the teachers, the training for the administrators, the training for the district personnel. I developed a lot of that. Now, the company gave us templates and things like that to work with, but you might have a deck, like a PowerPoint deck, but you're now looking at that deck going, okay, well, this group doesn't need all this basic stuff. Maybe they've been using the program for a couple years. I need to personalize this for this group of teachers or this group of administrators. Or sometimes I would go in the classroom and I would model for the teachers, not just train them on the program and how to pull reports and read reports and how to implement with their students, but I would go in and model it as well. So I was on the job. I was doing the design. I was doing oh my gosh, the development of the programs, and I was doing the delivery. I was out there facilitating, traveling, and it
Doing it
was
all.
great. Yeah, A to Z, and the evaluation. So it was my job to meet quarterly with all of the district and administrators to talk about progress at the end of the year. Is this something that, they could see results on? Again, back to looking at that evaluation, looking at the data. So that's what I did for quite a while. And I found that when I decided that I was going to switch careers and look at instructional design, the first thing I did was I went through like Indeed, Glassdoor, LinkedIn, and I started looking at job postings, and I made myself a T chart. So if you haven't made yourself a T chart, do this now. Go to those job postings, and every time you see the skills that they want you to have, maybe there's certain methods or theories that they're really addressing within their organization. Maybe there's development or authoring programs that they want you to be proficient in. Look at those elements. Start jotting them down from various job postings on instructional design, because I mean, some instructional designers, they work just in Storyline. Some work just in Rise. Some don't use any of those development programs. Some just build in PowerPoint or just put stuff into a learning management system. So the thing they all have in common is they are working on the design of that instruction, but how it's delivered or developed could be different depending on the organization. So keeping
Absolutely.
that in mind, jot down everything that the job descriptions say that they'd like you to have, those skills. And then on the other side, jot down the skills you do have that are similar. And then you're going to be left with the ones that you need to upskill with. So that's how I made my transition. I realized, I had a lot of transferable skills. Most teachers do. There's a lot of things that we're doing naturally.